Hey everyone, this is part 2 of our video reviewing chapter 5 on major scales and keys for CCNY Music Theory Fundamentals. So we just dealt with scales and the major scale in particular, what a scale is. We talked about whole and half steps and the patterns that they create and how we know what key something is in, what key a piece of music is in based on the home pitch, that tonic that it pulls to. Now, your book then moves on to key signatures, and these are very important as well. Let me get my screen up here. So, let's get rid of all this other stuff. Well, some of this I want to save. Anyway, so major key signatures. Let's look at what your book says. If we look at the melody of this tune, Oh Susanna, right down here, and examine the notation, we see that there are no accidentals in the melody, right? If we just look at all the note heads, don't worry about the rhythm as of right now. So we're in we start in D. We see the first note is D, and that has a 1. So if we just look at all these note heads, we see that none of them have an accidental. But if D is 1 and we're in the key of D major, doesn't D major have pitches that need accidentals? Let's look at our keyboard real quick. So in excuse me, in D major, here I'll play it for you, or let's mark it first. Remember, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So here's D, whole step. Whole step is this F sharp, right? Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 C sharp, half. So there are two notes that need accidentals, two pitches. And here's, what it sounds like. Why can't I hear it? Oh, that's why. A little slow today, folks. Here's what it sounds like. That's our D major scale. But if we look back at this tune, here's an F, right? Let's listen.
I come from Alabama with my banjo on my knee. I'm going to Louisiana, my Susanna, for to see.
Listen to this passport. The last Susanna for to see. 3 3 2 2 1 3. This note is not an F natural, it's an F sharp. Right? F sharp, E, 1. So why is there no sharp next to it? If it were an F natural, it would sound, the song would get a lot sadder. It would sound like this. Right? Well, that's a very long way of getting to the key signature that's circled right here in your text. And what a key signature does, as your book says, the piece is in D major, whose scale includes 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So the scale includes 2 sharp, yet not a single accidental is notated next to any pitch. Instead, the key signature here, immediately following the clef sign, or treble clef, instructs the performer to sharp every F and C throughout the song. So see how, if we zoom in, there's a sharp sign on the F line, on that top line, and another sharp sign on that third space where C happens. So that sharp on the F and the sharp on the C tells you, the singer, the instrumentalist, the performer, or even the theorist, the person studying this music, that every F or every C you see, or play will be sharped. That's why Susanna, blah, 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 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. I'm singing an F sharp here. Why? Because the key signature tells me to, okay? So that's what a key signature is. And it's really for no other reason than just to make life easier on the musician, because, and the person that's writing it. Remember that, you know, key signature, or maybe don't remember, maybe you never knew this, but key signatures existed well before the age of digital music, when things would have to be written out by hand pretty meticulously, and then they'd be printed. I mean, key signatures predate that. Anyway, that's a story for another time. The point is that when you know the key signature, the performer doesn't have to have all these other symbols to deal with. It looks a lot cleaner for them. So what happens is that once we have a key signature, the only accidentals, the only sharps or flats you will see on the page will be notes that are not from that scale. And we'll get to that another time. So a key signature represents the sharps or flats of the scale on which the work is based and applies to pitches in all octaves, right? Now this tune is really just in one octave, but let me show you. Or let's finish this thought. In all octaves, the key signature together with the scale degree relationships between pitches helps you determine the key to a piece. Accidentals, so this is what I was saying a second ago. We can change pitches by adding sharps or flats that aren't in the key, and they apply to all repetitions of that pitch in that octave for the rest of the measure. And then in the next bar, everything goes back to normal. We'll deal with this shortly, but let me share a different screen with you just to drive this point home. So here's just a blank score I have here. Right now I'm in the key of C major. And C major is no sharps and no flats. It's all white keys on the keyboard. And if I play it, I'll just play it in 8 notes here. Oops, sorry, forgot my, so we're in bass clef. Right, so there's a C major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay. Now, what if I want to write a D major scale? Or we spent enough time with D major. What if I want to do G major, right? So I'll start with G here. So the first thing to do is a whole step, A, right? Whole half, A up a whole step, B up a half step, C. So far, so good. We don't need any accidentals. Then remember, there's a whole step in the middle to D. Now we do whole half again. D up a whole step is E. E up a whole step is not F, right? What's E up a whole step? It's F sharp. So I'm going to add a little sharp sign. And then I will get to G. Right? So in this case, I don't have a key signature, so I added this F sharp. and we're in the key of G major. This is a G major scale, but I have a key signature little bank over here where what I can do is just drag this. Why isn't it working? There. So as soon as I turn this key signature, if I add an F sharp in this key signature, now this F is still an F sharp, right? It's still going to sound, it's still going to play the G major scale. But F sharp, G, because that. And every other F sharp I want to play, every time I hit this F, it's going to be an F sharp. If I wanted to make it an F natural, I would have to add this sign. Right? Why don't I do this? So what I have here in this measure is 4 F sharps and 4 F naturals. These are F sharps. These first 4 eighth notes are F sharps because of the key signature, right? The key signature over here. And these next 4 Fs are F naturals because I put this natural sign and the natural carries over until the next measure. Now, if I write another F after the bar line, so after the bar line, everything goes back to the way the key signature says. So if I put an F here, it's going to be an F sharp. So here's what this, I mean, it's going to sound stupid, right? But here's what it sounds like. It's going to go ba 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 da 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 da. Right? Here's the whole stupid thing. So that's how key signatures work. Now, with just one note changing, this may seem like not such a big idea. Let's get rid of all of this. But let's say I'm in a key like, what's a good one to play with? Why don't we do a flat key here? Let's do D flat major. Okay, so what do we do when we're writing a major scale? We know the drill. Right now there's no key signature, so we're just going to use accidentals. So I've got a D flat, duh, right? Whole, half, whole, half. So D flat up a whole step is what? E flat, so I need another flat sign. And we can do this on the keyboard too. We're just using this now. So D whole, what's E flat up a whole step? It's an F natural, right? I don't need any accidentals. F up a half step. What's F up a half step? G flat. Remember, it can't be F sharp from our last video because they have to be diatonic steps, diatonic half steps, diatonic whole steps. So the letter name has to change. We can't have F sharp. Every F needs to be followed by a G, needs to be followed by an A, and so forth. Okay, so we've had whole, half. Now we need a whole step above G flat, which is what? A flat. Now we need another whole, half. A flat up a whole step. B flat. B flat up a whole step. It's a tricky one. Not really. It's just a C. And C up a half step is our D flat. So this is our D flat major scale. But look at all the stuff going on, right? We have accidentals all over the place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flat signs. And then 6 when you include the repetition of the D flat. 6 of the 8 note heads here have a symbol next to them. That's confusing for the performer. It makes things more cluttered, more difficult to read. But it just sounds like a major scale, right? So this is where key signatures are helpful. I can take a certain key signature, and you'll memorize these and learn how to recognize them soon enough. But this one happens to be the key signature for D flat major. Notice I said there were 5 flats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flats. This is just a repetition, right? So this key signature with 5 flats, I'm going to drag it right here. And look, all of these note heads now have no accidentals next to them. Why? Because they're all supplied in this key signature. Right? So that's how key signatures work on that fundamental level. Let's go back to our book here. Okay, so that's the purpose of key signatures, but now let's get into how to recognize them and how they are constructed. Because you'll notice, right, it seems like a weird order. Sorry, I'm gonna share that last screen of my score one more time. Right, it's not just, so this is a B flat, this is an E flat, this is an A flat, this is a D flat. Why this strange order? Why not just go in, the ones that are closest together? Why not B followed by A followed by G, or so forth, right? It's a reasonable question. And the answer why isn't really our charge right now, but you do need to remember what order they go in. And it all has to do with intervals and distances. Everything in most Western music is based on fifths or fourths. And so that's what's going on here. So the key concept to remember in a key signature, the order of the sharps. And this is just something you need to memorize, okay? The order of the sharps is F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, B. So that's like this. Here's the key signatures with sharps. If we just go to the last one, F, C, G, D, A, E, B. Right? So they go in that order. The order of the flats is reversed, right? Except that they're now flat. So where we had B sharp, now it's B flat. Where we had E sharp, now it's E flat, so forth. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat, F flat. Sharps and flats must be written in this order and centered on the lines and spaces shown in example 510. This is a page to just really, really keep handy and memorize, right? Even if you can find it really quickly, I promise you it's going to make life easier. And it won't take you very long to just know when you see these key signatures what key they are representing. So these are the major key signatures. Bookmark this page or whatever to remember. So as that note points out, some major keys have key signatures with sharps. Some major keys have key signatures with flats, and only one key signature has neither, and that's C major, right? C major has no sharps, no flats, all white keys. That's why we use it so frequently as like a kind of the grounding mechanism, or the first thing to learn before you shoot off in other places, because it's simpler that way. Excuse me. So how do you remember these? A common mnemonic device to help you remember the first four flats is the word bead, right? So remember, B flat, E flat, A flat, D. These are for flat keys. Bead. One handy sentence to remember for the order of both sharps and flats is Father Charles goes down and ends battle. F, C, G, D, A, E, B. And then you can go the reverse. So there's different ways. I learned once upon a time, I used the bead, go catch fish, which has nothing to do with one another, but B, E, A, D for flat keys, bead, go catch fish, GCF. And I didn't really have another one. I just remembered that they were backwards. This isn't like learning a complicated language. You can remember the pattern pretty simply, but mnemonic devices always help. Use Father Charles goes down and ends battle. And then when you reverse it, battle ends and down goes Charles's father, right? That's a good one. I had never heard that one, honestly, until I started teaching. So use it. That's helped people. So, do these try-its when you need to. We can do a couple real quick. Write the key signature for the major key specified in both treble and bass clef. So letter A is done for you. Then it asks you for A flat. Right. Now, the problem here is right now you're just matching up to what it says up here. But how do you get to just know which, if you're asked a major key, how many sharps or flats that key has? Because right now you just know the order of sharps and flats. You don't know how that relates to what key it's in. So I don't really see why they did this exercise before they talked about that, but that's coming up. But if you look here, A flat, one thing you could do is build the scale. That if we were in class together, that's what I would make you do. So let's do it real quick for A flat. Let's go back to my score. Okay, let's get rid of everything here. So if we're building an A flat major scale, obviously we're going to start with A flat. There's our A flat. How do we build a major scale? Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So A flat up a whole step is what? B flat, that's right. B flat up a whole step is what? C. C up a half step, it's not C sharp. Why? Because it has to change letters, it has to be diatonic, so it must be D flat. Okay, then we need a whole step. What's a whole step above D flat? That's right, E flat. And here we have another whole half. E flat up a whole step, F up a whole step. What did I do here? Wait, I'm sorry, folks. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm right. I was back in D flat for a second and got a little crazy. F up a whole step is G, and G up a half step gets us back to our tonic A flat. So here is our A flat major scale. So one way it's a long way, but I think a really useful one for getting you to understand not just what key signatures are, but how they relate to scales and scale degrees is to do it this way. So now you look at how many flats you have, not including, right? You don't include the repetition. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if we're gonna build 4 flats, what order do we write them in? Well, bead, go catch fish, or what's the other one it has? Battle ends and down goes Charles' father, right? B-E-A-D. I'll just go with this one. Battle ends and down. That's for flat keys. So B-E-A-D. So right here, we would write B flat here. We would write a flat sign on this third line, on this fifth space, on the second space, and on the fourth line, right? And then the same for the treble clef, but we have to adjust because it's a different clef. So second line, third space, first space, third line. Let's see if we're right. Ta-da! There we go. B-E-A-D, and then B-E-A-D. That's our A flat major scale. Whoops. Okay. So although you should memorize which key signatures go with which key, you can also determine the key from the signature. So these are some different ways to do that. I really have found that this is just kind of whatever works best for you. Some students find some of these easier. I think for the sharp keys, there's really one good way to do it. For the flat keys, there's kind of two. You'll read through these. For the sharp keys, the last sharp of the signature is the 7th degree. So whatever signature you see that has sharp keys, right? The last sharp of the key signature is 7 of your key. So take a look here. Here are sharp keys. I'll just pick this one. So F, C, G, D. Remember our order, Father Charles goes down. right? Father Charles, F, C, G, D. So the last sharp that you see in the key signature is a D sharp. So D sharp is 7 of what? E, right? If you just go a half step down, then you get 7. This is the key of F sharp. F, C, G, D, A, where do we go? E. I keep forgetting our Father Charles goes down and ends, okay, right? Father Charles goes down and ends. So E sharp is 7 of, this is a tricky one. It's not 7 of F, because remember E sharp and F are enharmonically the same. So E sharp is 7 of F sharp. So that's one easy way to think about, especially once you're good with your scales, what you're getting. Once you're really solid with knowing what 7 is of a given key, then the sharp key signatures are easy. To find the tonic, go up a diatonic half step, right? That's even of a sharp key signature. For example, in the key signature with 4 sharps, which, did we just do this? Yeah. If D sharp is 7, no, it just does it all for us. I forgot. If D sharp is 7, then E is 1, and the key is E major, right? Here's the key signature. Last sharp is D sharp. Go up 1 diatonic half step, E. Great. For flat keys, the last flat of the signature is 4 of the key. So that's a little bit trickier than 7, but it's the same kind of idea, whereas the last note, the last accidental in a key signature gives you information, is all the information you need to figure out the key. So for flat keys, the last flat of the signature is 4 of that key. Beginning with that note, count down 4 scale steps to find the name of the key, right? So here's letter B. We have a key signature, right? Don't even look at the notes yet. The key signature is a B, E, and A. So we take the last flat of the key signature, which is an A flat, and count down 4 steps. A flat, G, they're just 4 letters, right? A, G, F, E flat. So it's going to be E flat. There's another shortcut, of course. As a shortcut, take the next to last flat of the key signature. That will be the name of the key. So for what we just did here, look at B again. This one, letter B. I don't know why it won't let me highlight this. But letter B, we had B, E, and A. So we could just take the last accidental and count down 4 to E flat, or we can just go to the second last, right? And know that that's the key, E flat. See, we figured out we were in E flat major in 2 ways. One is counting down 4. The other is right here, flat key shortcut. The next to last flat gives the key name. E flat is the next to last flat in the key signature. That's the key. The only problem with that shortcut is right here in F major, because F major just has 1 flat, so there's no second to last scale degree. Sorry, no second to last flat in the key signature, because there's only 1 flat in the key signature. And the countdown system doesn't work either, because if you were to count down, you would call this F flat probably, right? Because you went A, G, F, E, E flat, and you knew that that's flat. So for F major, that's one that you kind of just need to memorize, and that's easy. The 1 flat is F. You'll remember that quickly. It probably says that here. For F major, however, since there's only 1 flat, you have to count down 4 steps, or better yet, I like this, or better yet, memorize the signature. So you'll get the hang of all of those. Do these triads, they're great. And I think that's, yeah, go through these exercises. That's it for key signatures. A quick word about, I think it goes to, why is it letting me change the page? Here we go. The circle of fifths. This is something you should familiarize yourself with, but that I'm going to be kind of brief about, because it won't come up a ton, but it will come up. And it might be really useful for you. It has been for many of my students, especially those that, those of you who like these systems that have this circular logic to it, in a way. So this is a handy aid for remembering key signatures. On this diagram, each time a sharp is added, the new key is 5 steps higher than the last. Okay, let's read that again. Each time a sharp is added, the new key is 5 steps higher than the last. Remember, I said that everything's based on fifths in Western music, especially Western classical music, but really everything that's diatonic. And that each time a flat is added, the key is 5 steps lower. So let me highlight that note here. So we start with C, and let's take this first part. Each time a sharp is added, the new key is 5 steps higher. We add a sharp, and we know the order. Father Charles goes down and ends battle. Is that right? I think so. And so we add one sharp. That means the new key is 5 steps higher. So C, count up 5 steps. D, E, F, and G, right? Remember that we count C. C, D, E, F, G, up 5. So our new key is G. Then we add a second sharp, 2 sharps, 5 steps higher from G. G, A, B, C, D. So D major has 2 sharps. And you keep going that way, right? C flat and B is a weird one because they are both used. One is a sharp key signature, one is a flat key signature. You'll mostly find B instead of C flat. That's more common. F sharp and G flat is similar. These 3 keys down here with the trickiest key signatures, you'll just have to know. That's why these devices are so helpful. Anyway, that's how you count the circle of fifths with sharp keys. Every time you add a sharp, the new key is 5 steps higher from the one before. Each time a flat is added, the key is 5 steps lower. So if we start from C again, if we're adding one flat, we count down 5, right? C, B, A, G, F, 5. F has one flat. Then we add a second flat right here. See, I really hate you can't highlight this or circle it or anything. Maybe you can, and I just don't know how. Anyway, we're adding one flat from one flat. We're adding another to make 2 flats. So we count 5 down from F, right? So F, E, D, C, B flats. Now they keep getting called flats as we go down. As we add a third flat, count down from B flat. So we have B flat, A, G, F, E flat, 5 steps, E flat, and so forth. So this, people like this kind of stuff. I think it is useful for some people, and if it is, then go for it. If you want to look at this stuff a little more, that's great. But I think that probably is plenty for now. It's a lot. The chapter 5 is super important. You can't get through really anything else we talk about in this class without a firm understanding of how to build a scale and how to read a key signature and figure out a key signature. So take your time with this. This is very important. And yeah, and enjoy. It's fun. I think it is. Reach out with any questions, and I will speak to you all soon. Take care.